Hey guys, it's Mary. We wanted to talk today about verbal communication skills, or whether or not you have them, and how no matter what way you communicate, you're still forming communication, and it's no sign of your intelligence. So, let's start with the fact that that's a major misconception that a lot of people have. Just because someone doesn't use their words to verbally communicate does not mean that they have a low IQ or a low intelligence or any of that. None of that is reflexive of intelligence at all. Quite a few people that I know use augmented communication devices, sign language, and other forms of communication and are quite brilliant, one of whom, a man I've met, made his own movie after graduating college using only augmented communication. Made his own movie and has a degree in somewhere in the literature writing field. I believe poetry specifically, but it's definitely not a sign of intelligence. If you can get a bachelor's degree with it, I would say you're still pretty intelligent, but maybe that's just me. But another big part of this is that we want to talk about how different forms of communication can be used. So, as someone who very clearly has verbal communication skills, I use my words for the main form of my communication. It's what I use the majority of the time. It's obviously the easiest form for me to use and is able to reach the most people in my life. So that's what I'm going to use most of the time. That doesn't mean it's something that's always available to me, or that those skills are always going to be the best for a situation. A lot of times when I get overwhelmed and I get overstimulated, I will start to use nonverbal forms of communication like sign language or pointing and things like that to communicate my needs, or typing, writing, those sort of things that are able to still communicate with other people, neurotypical or neurodiverse. That doesn't mean that I don't have the same level of intelligence at these times. I just, when I get overwhelmed, and from my understanding a lot of us get the same way, it's harder to use those skills that we've built up. And sometimes we can't connect our verbal words to the concepts of what we're trying to understand and what we're trying to explain. Maybe we know something similar, or we know the words, but they don't have the same context for this situation. And I know in my experience, I've started to go nonverbal in those situations because in previous situations like that, I've been known to use the wrong words. And then you get made fun of for using the wrong words, and then it goes on, and makes you really not want to use your words when you're not very sure of what words you need to use. And another big thing with this is that we need to make sure that everyone has access to the communication. So whatever form works for them in any situation, whether or not it be their most sophisticated version, someone using verbal language still might need an augmented communication device because they might not be able to express certain topics verbally, or someone who uses augmented communication if they don't have the words for something or the understanding of that concept concretely. A good example of that is pain or discomfort. Then maybe they're going to go back to using something like pointing or dragging to help someone to understand what they need in that thing, in that situation. So the main thing to come back to is that communication is one of the most basic needs that anyone has, and communication is above almost anything in importance in our lives. We need to get our needs and wants met, and the best way to do that is through communication with other people. We obviously can't all meet our own needs, especially as children. Those communication skills and building those with the people around us is such a big deal. So whatever way it is that the people we need to work with are able to communicate is what we should be using. There really shouldn't be any stigma behind communication devices, sign language, pointing, whatever gets the needs and wants met. And to know that that's the end goal of it all, is to make sure everyone's needs are getting met.